The message arrived at the Galactic Council chambers on a frequency that hadn't been used in over 3 centuries. Ambassador Zethkree's chromatophores flickered in confusion as the ancient human transmission protocol decoded itself across his neural implant. "This is Commander Sarah Chen of Outpost Omega-7, Terra Colonial Defense Force. We formally declare our intent to engage any and all hostile entities threatening human colonies within a 50-light-year radius. Consider this your only warning." The chamber erupted in what could generously be called diplomatic chaos. The Altarian representatives' gill slits fluttered rapidly, their species equivalent of laughter. "Humans haven't held territory in this sector for 400 years, Ambassador Veltara wheezed through her respirator. "Their colonies were wiped out during the Void War. This must be some kind of archaeological echo." Zethkree wasn't so sure. His people, the Nexari, had long memories, and they remembered the humans well. Remembered them with a mixture of respect and unease that had never quite faded, even after their apparent extinction from this region of space. "Sir," his aide whispered, "long-range sensors are detecting massive energy signatures from the Kepler 442 system. It's where the humans built their deep space research stations before the war. The Galactic Council had written off Kepler 442 as a dead system decades ago. Nothing but frozen rocks and the skeletal remains of human infrastructure, picked clean by scavengers and time. Yet now, something was broadcasting from those coordinates with enough power to reach across half the galaxy. 3 star systems away, Commander Sarah Chen stood in the command center of what the galaxy had forgotten. A human outpost that had never surrendered, never retreated, and never stopped fighting. Omega-7 wasn't just a research station. It was a fortress buried in the heart of an asteroid, its existence known only to a handful of Earth's most classified programs. When the Void Collective had swept through human space, consuming worlds and turning entire star systems into harvesting grounds, Omega-7 had gone dark, not destroyed, hidden. For 4 centuries, its crew of 37 had lived, worked, and prepared. They'd cloned themselves, extended their lives through careful genetic modification, and built an arsenal that would have made their ancestors weep with pride. Most importantly, they'd watched. They'd monitored every signal, tracked every ship, and cataloged every weakness of the species that now divided up former human space like spoils of war. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Torres called from the sensor station, "we're detecting harvesters moving toward the New Geneva colony. Looks like a full extraction fleet." Chen's jaw tightened. New Geneva was one of the few human settlements that had survived. The war by hiding in the Outer Rim, its million inhabitants living under false identities and forged documentation. The harvesters, mechanical servants of the Void Collective, had finally found them. "Launch sequence initiated," she announced to her crew. The command center, which had been their entire world for generations, suddenly felt very small. "Deploy the Retribution Fleet." What emerged from Kepler 442 defied every assumption the galaxy had made about human capabilities. 12 ships, each the size of a small moon, began their journey toward New Geneva. But these weren't the crude vessels humanity had fielded during the Void War. These were the product of 400 years of focused engineering, built by minds that had studied every enemy weakness and technological advancement. The lead ship, Indomitable, bristled with weapons that merged human ingenuity with reverse-engineered alien technology. Its hull was forged from materials that shouldn't exist, its engines powered by processes that pushed the boundaries of known physics. Most terrifying of all, its crew was small, just 12 humans per ship, because the rest of the vessel was run by artificial intelligences that had been learning, adapting, and planning for 4 centuries. The harvesters reached New Geneva first. Their extraction began as it always did: energy nets to disable orbital defenses, boarding pods to collect specimens, processing ships to strip the planet's resources. It was an efficient operation that had worked on hundreds of worlds. It lasted exactly 14 minutes. The Indomitable translated out of hyperspace directly above the Harvester fleet. Its first salvo turned 3 extraction ships into component atoms. Its second crippled the Harvester command vessel. The remaining enemy ships found themselves facing an opponent that seemed to predict their every move, counter their every strategy, and adapt to their every weapon. Commander Chen watched the battle from Omega-7's command center. Her face reflected in displays showing tactical data her ancestors could never have imagined. "Target their processor nodes," she ordered. "Leave the crews alive in the escape pods. They need to report back." The message she wanted sent was simple. Humanity hadn't died in the Void War. It had been forged by it. Across the galaxy, the surviving harvesters carried word of what they'd witnessed. The Galactic Council received reports that made their carefully ordered universe suddenly uncertain. The Altarians stopped laughing. The Nexari began recalculating old threat assessments, and in the depths of space, 11 more outposts began, powering up systems that had waited patiently in the dark, crewed by humans who had never forgotten Earth, never stopped planning, and never forgiven the galaxy for assuming they were gone. The war for human space had just begun again. This time, humanity was ready. Commander Chen smiled as she authorized the next phase of operations. The galaxy had 400 years to grow, comfortable without humans in it. Time to remind them why that had been a mistake.